Climax Dinosaur. He gets off and I want more.
Oh boy.
Welcome, CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I'm Lowery Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
Hey, how's your week going this week, Lowery?
It's Monday, so it isn't very long.
Shut up. How was your weekend? What'd you guys do for Mother's Day is actually the main question. Because it was kind of gloomy out here in Minnesota.
Yeah, we stayed inside. It had like a soft hail. And so I was like,
Yeah, it was.
I'm not going outside.
It was like grappling, but it wasn't really grapple. It was just sleep.
Is that like a weather term that you're throwing down?
Yeah, grapple's like that. You know that rain that comes down, that hail rain that comes down, it looks like foam, little pieces of foam.
Yeah.
That's grapple.
Okay, that's grapple. Yeah, that for sure happened. I don't remember ever seeing that in my life until this spring.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
Do you?
Yeah. I guess because I just noticed. You might just be like, oh, that's like sleet or...
I might have called it, I don't know, but I was just outside getting pelted by it like at the beginning of April and going, do I need to hide? Am I going to get like hailed on?
Is this a foam party that I didn't know about? Little foam
parties
pieces?
are fun.
Yeah, no. I went to one in Mazatlan when I was a senior in high school, and I'll tell you, it was the scariest thing ever. It was cool.
The scariest?
Well, because, so they started dropping the foam from the ceiling, but you can't breathe in that crap. And it was going like 6 feet over your head. And I'll tell you, by the end of it, up to your knees in water. Like, that's how much soap water was. It wasn't like draining at all. And I got my junk grabbed about 15, 16 times because horny dudes are in there trying to grope girls. And it's just... was like, grabbed me and they're like, oh, nope, that's a package. And then they go on to the next person. But I remember me and my buddy, Dane. Do you remember Dane?
I've met him a couple times.
We couldn't breathe. So the only place that the bubbles weren't 6 feet over your head was next to the wall. So we would like get right against the wall because it was popping, against the wall. Mm-hmm. And I'm like looking over my buddy Dane. I'm like, oh, this is fucking crazy. And then all of a sudden he disappeared because he slipped and fell into the foam bubbles.
So you guys ended up where I would have started. So I'm not being in the middle of that.
Getting off to the side. Well,
I'm gonna see other people suffocate before I go in.
This is long story, even longer. But that was the trip where up until that point, I was like, I don't burn, I tan. And so the first day there, I didn't wear sunscreen.
Roasted.
Yes, I might. Okay. Needless to say, my forehead peeled like 3 or 4 times. Just stupid. But we were at that foam party, and this is probably the 6th day we were there, and I had like this dark shirt on. We get out, and I go to take my shirt off because it's just soaking, and all the skin, it just was matted on the inside of that shirt. It was so disgusting.
Yep. Yeah, that's gross.
Hungry fella?
No. I am drinking an Arctic Panzer Wolf from 3 Floyds.
How is it?
This one's kind of old, so and I can tell it's old. Not its fault, it's mine.
So when it's old, what taste are you tasting? What's the part that makes you think or give you that feel that it's old?
Just tastes old. A little bit of must.
Nice.
A little bit of rust. Nah, it's just this one's. It was already bitter to start with, but like it has no layers. It's just like bitter right now. It's an Imperial IPA, which can be bitter, but it loses all types of like complexity or depth to it.
Gotcha.
It just kind of becomes a flat bitter, which is not enjoyable.
It's like a Lowery in a beer form, basically.
I'm just bitter. Is that
you're a bitter Vikings fan. Remember, you're an old man Vikings fan, is what I called you. But then, as they let you down year after year after year, you kind of that's what happens as a Minnesotan. You're just like, all right, how are we going to screw this up now? But you say it at the beginning of the year. They start going on a run, and you're like, nah, this is going to end badly.
They do well in preseason. I'm like, don't get your hopes up. They're going to cut who you like, and then they're going to get picked up by the Patriots and do awesome there.
Yeah, for sure. What are we doing this week on this episode?
We're going to talk about my Kalamax deck.
Climax.
It was kind of gross because before this, Adam was just like, I just watched or looked at your Climax for the first time 45 minutes ago. I was like, ooh, that's gross. I
you have a camera in there? How'd you see me?
I close my eyes.
I know, Lowery. I know.
No.
But this week, well, did I even say what episode it was?
Episode 117.
What was that noise? Was that yours?
Phone on silent. Sorry. Ba-ding! Yeah, I don't want it to vibrate and have you think that I'm climaxing over here or anything.
Larry's going to take a little time out. I can't see your hands, Larry. Hands above the table.
I can't see your hands either.
Right here.
It's just headshot.
Oh, nice. We're going to get a lot of these Climax jokes this episode. Buckle up, everybody.
That was a choke on microphone joke right there.
We did get a new patron this week, though, while you're drinking your beer, because you were going to announce it.
Thank you so much from our Saucy Nick.
It's the wrong name completely. It's Dylan.
Saucy Dylan. It's the other Saucy. I'm sorry. We don't have another Saucy. It's just Saucy Dylan. I'm sorry.
Where did the Nick come from?
I don't know. No idea. I haven't talked to a Nick in probably 6 months.
Yeah, I haven't seen my brother in a while, and
I guess February. Saw him in February, right?
Probably. Oh yeah, because we did Guys Weekend when we did all that fun stuff. So thanks, Saucy Nick. I mean Dylan.
I'm sorry.
You're bad at this. We're bad at this.
Problem. Yeah. This whole thing.
Well, let's get into the episode, but first, let's just get through all the stuff. You guys can go on Patreon. That's where you guys can donate to us. You can also get on our Discord, which Lowery is crushing. He's all over that Discord. I have been a ghost as of late.
Yeah, but you're busy, and that tells you what I'm doing. Nothing.
I'm just happy that you're doing that, because I'm
holding a baby. Like,
what else are you going to do? You're on your phone and you have the baby. I'm just going to type.
Sleeping.
Yeah.
I should stare adoringly
at your baby,
side of her head.
Right.
But instead, I'm on my phone.
Just writing messages. Hey, that's a good card. Oh, I like that combo. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you guys can get on the Discord. That's just for $1. Donate there. You get on there. You have Proxies of the Week, which once a month we kind of send out all those. Free way to subscribe. Go to YouTube. Just jump on there, hit that subscribe button, and you don't have to do anything else. You don't even have to watch anything on there. But we do have.
I mean, you should.
Yes, but for some reason I don't get it. I don't know if it's because I've been doing the YouTube Proxy Time videos, but our podcast doesn't pop up on there anymore. And so I haven't had time to manually go in, because I know I can do that with YouTube. I don't know how. I know it just takes a little research to do it, but we normally only got a handful of views on our podcast there anyways.
Yeah, so fuck them.
Not until we start actually using video on there will it matter. But
hopefully that's coming.
Yeah. Well, if I wasn't in the dark right now, because I actually really like you and your basement background looks sweet. Like I said, you need to hang things back. Hey, that foil sheet, hang it from those rafters right there, buddy.
Just have it right
behind you. It'd be perfect. That's totally right behind you. It'd be a perfect spot for it.
That sounds stupid.
Stupidly awesome.
There, a little bit of a gust of wind comes to my basement.
Don't even put it in a frame. Just have a fan blowing, so it's waving in the wind.
It's curled 75% of the way up.
It looks like your old school scroll, It's
so are you just saying that I should hang it with inside the tube somewhere in the back? Don't even pull it out, just have it in the cardboard tube.
Too bad you don't have your quip. You could just have that hanging over your shoulder, off a piece of string.
I want that back. Yeah. I want that quip back.
And then you'll give it back once you win the bottom part of the quip, right? Once you get that from Wizards, from your stargazing gods.
Yeah, that's what I fucking get. The bottom half of a toothbrush. Sorry, we're so sorry that it's been 3.5 months.
Has it been? It feels like it's been longer than that. I feel like we ordered it.
It was Valentine's Day.
Yeah, weekend, I know. You keep saying
February
that.
February 14th.
It feels
March
like it was
14th, April 14th. we're pretty close to May 14th, and it's not going to come here until June something.
June. Yeah, we just got those notifications this week, so sweet. I did order the Godzilla stuff, BT dubs. 3 of them.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, sorry. Hang on.
Oh, good for you.
Even better, I gotta keep the boys in there.
I need a
Oh, good for you.
Yes, that was glorious, by the way. I love them.
I can't wait till we get Little Loud to say something. You don't need my mixing board. You just record it there and then send me the little just on-air production meeting. If you want him to say stuff, just record it with your stuff and then just send me the little bites and I'll plug them in. Or you can play it because I can hear you. I think, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, and this really shouldn't be on a podcast, but whatever. I think because you can play stuff through your computer. Like if you did your sound right now, I think
you're getting way beyond my ability though.
But then you can just play it on there. You can just press, that's how you do your buttons. Your buttons are actually like pulling up the file and playing them. Instead of pressing a button, you're finding the file. Got it?
No, that sounds great. I would love to do that.
Which means you're totally not going to. Son of a bitch. Nope. Okay, so we were on YouTube there. So now we're going to jump over to Twitter. You can check out stuff there where, sharing with myself beers, right? On Twitter.
Yeah.
Proxy of the Week is also there. And then cool things. Lowery finds cards that are interesting old school cards most of the time, or cards that you don't really see very often. I like
sometimes. Yeah. This last week I was posting Basic Lands. Did you see any of those from the weekend?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I did. I did see that. Yeah, you had them in the binder, your old school ones. And then, so
did you see the Mount Fuji mountain that I have? That thing's fucking sweet.
I didn't see that one. Sorry, Larry. I saw the foil island that was one of the Twitter followers posted that as well, right?
Oh yeah. Yep. That one's sweet too. Yeah. For sure.
So, but yeah, that you can go on Twitter, check out that stuff. And then the last part is you guys can email us at Gmail and all that fun stuff. So now that we're 12, coming up on 15 minutes into the episode and we haven't even done a damn thing.
We don't even have
magic.
A song anymore.
Yeah, I know. Still... Chatty cat.
Great. Not a problem. We're good at this. We know how to keep on track.
All right. So
good, tight.
Now I can actually
we're not wasting anybody's time.
Use the segue to our segment.
A spotlight deck.
And you can actually hear these buttons this week, which is awesome. Which we figured out was because our Discord video doesn't allow Lowery to hear buttons, which I don't get that. But Zoom does. Zoom video does, but not whatever. Cool story, Hansel. Where the fuck is that one?
Cool story.
Oh, I should do the Zeke one.
Guy?
Oh, no, that one. Because it doesn't sound like Zeke, and it was just I caught him at that, made him repeat me, bro. He sounds like a fucking surfer, and that's not.
He's gonna be good. He's moving out of Minnesota for sure.
All right, so what are we talking about? We're talking about Mr. Climax, the dinosaur.
Kalamax, the storm sire.
No, it's the dinosaur. This one? Climax, the dinosaur. He gets off, and I want more.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I'll read it then. Colorless green, blue, red is a 4/4 legendary creature elemental dinosaur, as Adam pointed out earlier.
See?
Whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if Kalamax the Stormsire is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. And then whenever you copy an instant spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Kalamax.
Okay, so first question off the top is you ran into some issues with how our play group does things. We don't like to do infinite stuff, and you found this very easy to go infinite. Yeah. Right.
And generally, if you see Kalamax out in the wild, they're going to combo on you probably turn 4. Because what happens, and just make Kalamax
infinitely big,
1,000 or whatever, So what you can do with Kalamax is if it's tapped, you can cast a spell or but just fork. If you're forking any spell, you make a copy of said fork, which then can copy said fork and then continue to copy it. And then you're just doing all of that for as long as you want.
You need to have you need to have a fork-like spell on the stack, right?
No. Well, what you need is somebody to either cast a spell.
Oh, it needs to be tapped. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I gotcha. Because it says
if
copy.
You cast a sorcery, then you can fork that,
Mm-hmm.
and then that copy of fork can copy the original fork, and boom, 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 as long as you want.
I think the reason why they thought, I'm sure they thought of that pretty easily, but the reason they thought this might have been more fair is he is just a 4/4. He doesn't have trample. He doesn't have any of the other ability, doesn't have, basically trample is the big thing. But so they're thinking you can just chump block him even if he gets infinitely big, but it stays. It's 1/1 counters, so it's not like, it's just for one turn. It's okay. You got to get him the next turn. So you didn't go that route, right? Or did you? Do you have a couple of those?
No. I ended up getting rid of that route. There is one of them, but there's like 5 different versions you can have. That's reverberate, fork, twin cast.
Yeah.
And then the one that I have is expansion and explosion from one of the Ravnica sets last year, which is a split card.
That's a sweet card. I like that card.
Yeah. And so I'm using it more for the explosion cost of like, is it X, and then you can draw cards and deal that much damage.
Right.
And then when you copy that, it's pretty sweet. But just not, it's not consistent. You're not going to consistently combo off like you would with those other ones. You know, they'll be able to just tutor it up really easy. And that's just not fun. It wasn't very fun. And it was like, if it didn't do that, it didn't really do a whole ton anyway.
Mm-hmm. So the idea
but it didn't do that.
Of this is copying a bunch of stuff. Obviously, my problem that I always had with Climax was you don't know how to do it. No, it's how do you get him to tap? Like that's
I never had anybody complain. About tapping.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's I guess we can. We're getting into this a little bit. Well,
for sure.
I like this. It's almost like interview style.
Yeah, no,
we're not in front of each other. We don't have the card.
I can't see his package, so I can't make him Climax. But I want to ask about his Climax and how it works. Baby. So, my biggest question before when we saw this card and we talked about it, and when they revealed it, was you got to have a way to tap him. Now, when we talked about it before, yours was just saying attacking with him, and that's the way you get him. You attack with him and then cast your instance and stuff like that, and then you're getting a copy. So is that the route you went? Do you have any tap spells, or what? How do you get this guy to go off?
So there is a couple of things. We'll go with what I kind of wanted. So one of the spells, there's a couple of them similar, but a card called Wild Size, which is an instant colorless, 2 colorless and a green. And target creature gets +2/+2, gains trample until end of turn.
And it has a replacement card. Yeah, replacement of that card, which is nice.
And so what it ends up doing is you give Kalamax +4/+4. You copied it, so it gets another +1/+1.
And you draw
trample,
2 cards.
And you're drawing 2 cards. And that's off of attacking. And so that's a pretty sweet return because you're turning it into a 9/9 trample.
Right.
That first turn. There's also a blue spell that can give it shadow and draw a card.
Wouldn't it be 8/8 trample?
No, it gets +1/+1.
Oh, the counter is good call. Good call. Yeah, so, and then even at that point, if they somehow kill it, which 9/9 trample is going to be a little tough to kill at that point.
Yeah, because that's happening turn 3 or turn 4.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. What was the next card you were talking about? Sorry, I kind of interrupted there.
No, you're fine. But there's just a couple of cards that are kind of like combat trick-ish cards that'll draw you more cards. Similar effect to Feather, right?
Oh, that's why you like this.
So there's not a ton because Feather just does it better. Mm-hmm. Here you can just have a couple of tricks which are really nice, but you don't want to like just make it crazy. But there are definitely some red spells that I could pull from Feather that would really benefit here. There's like Balduvian Rage or something. There's a couple of cards that like give double strike and draw a card. I don't have those in here, but they could go in here. But I'm trying to differentiate 2 different decks that could be similar. So I don't want Kalamax to be like Feather.
So what I'm noticing is there is 29 instants in this deck. So what you're kind of saying, what makes sense with Wild Size is you're attacking with him and hopefully you're attacking somebody that doesn't have something huge, but you're counting on them to not know how many. You're probably pretty much leaving your mana open to see what they're going to do, and in response, you're trying to keep him alive, and then also duplicating the spells because each one, like you said, he gets a 1/1 counter for every copy of instant.
Exactly.
That you
and
do.
Well, not everyone. It's just the first one per turn. So that's another big thing is you kind of want to you can't blow your load in one turn.
Oh, I guess you don't have a lot of copy spells. So yeah, you're right. You wouldn't be able to do it unless you had more forks and stuff, then that would, because it says anytime you copy an instant spell, put a 1/1 counter. So if you had other copies, even if it was the second or third copy spell, he still gets the 1/1 counter.
Yeah, that is correct. So just any general copy of an instant will put a 1/1 counter on Kalamax. But for you to trigger Kalamax's first ability to actually create the copy, it has to be tapped and it has to be the first instant that turn.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big thing. So when I'm building this deck, I kind of thought of it a little bit like Vial Smasher, the Fierce, which is whenever you cast your first spell, you get to randomly deal that damage. And kind of what you want to do there is you want to kind of consistently be able to cast an instant each turn, right? So you're casting it on your turn, which is the hopefully the cantrip that also gives you trample or unblockability. The next turn you want to do removal and be able to double up on that.
Yeah.
And then the next turn also either there isn't a lot of counter spells in here, but like a bounce spell, being able to just control the board on other people's turns. And so that's a little, and then by the time it gets to you, if it's 3 other players, you got a 4/4, 5/5 on your turn, 6/6, 7/7, 8/8, 9/9 when it gets back to you, plus whatever you got in your hand when you're attacking this next turn. So that's kind of the hope.
So the other thing I noticed is you do have a lot of recursion in this deck, so that you're casting all these spells, which makes sense. You're casting an instant on everybody's turn. But then you're also not decking yourself or burning yourself out. You have things that are bringing your stuff back, so you can keep doing that. Of course, you have Snapcaster in here. What are some other bounce or recursion cards? I see you have Eternal Witness in here.
There is like Eternal Witness, but also my big thing that I really like in here, because it's also a beater, is Backdraft Hellkite. And so that's whenever the Backdraft Hellkite attacks, you get to all of your sorceries and instants gain flashback in your graveyard.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. Yeah.
So you can just choose anything. And that's, as you're going along, you'll be able to replay these cards. And I think it doesn't seem like it's seeing a lot of play because it's cheap as shit. It's under $1, right? And the card's fantastic in spell heavy decks for sure.
I think it's also, just the only time you get it is on his attack. So you won't get it the first turn unless you have haste or whatever, but you're having to blow your load right when he's attacking, because after you finish that attack, you're not going to be able to do it again on other people's turn. You know what I'm saying? I think maybe that's
correct.
Why.
Yeah. So that's when you're doing, if that's in play, you're doing the flashback cost and keeping whatever cards you have in your hand for other players' turns. So that's a big thing. And also you want to make sure that you want to keep your curve pretty low on this when you're doing it. But there is a lot of ramp in here, which is kind of a little hard to see when you don't know what you're looking at here.
Gotcha.
Because the interesting thing about it is, so cards like Harrow Crop Rotation, so those are 2 in here, and also Thrill of Possibility. But when it says in an additional cost, sacrifice a land, like with Harrow or Crop Rotation, you don't have to do that on the copy.
Oh, okay.
So because that's part of the converted mana cost, it's like part of the cost. So Harrow is green, 2 colorless instant, sacrifice a land, go and put 2 lands into play untapped, and then copy that, do that again.
Yeah.
Go and get 4 lands, which is huge.
For sure, yeah. Especially with this
crop
where
rotation is 2.
You're trying to cast multiple spells throughout everybody else's turns. One of the best cards for that I see you have in here is Rashmi for that too.
Rashmi is just very similar. It's whenever you play your first spell, reveal a top card. You get to play it if you want. It works here very well.
One question I have a couple questions on cards, but one I was curious about was Chandra's Ignition. Because what that one is 3 and 2 red. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. So you don't have a lot of creatures, so you're looking to just have Climax kill everything, right? I mean, even yours as well, right?
We're working towards it. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those sorceries that probably were left over from when I had Fork in there and everything.
Okay.
But also just like the only important creature that you have to a degree is Kalamax, and you want is Kalamax. And so if you want, you do get chumped, you got to be worried a little bit about that. And so you want some type of wrath that's going to allow Kalamax to stick around. And that's what this is.
Yeah. And the thing is Chandra's Ignition, I always get a little confused. So actually where I wrote that down is I was thinking that he's killing himself, but it says every other creature. So it's doing it to everybody but your creature. So that's kind of nice. What was a couple other things? And you can
copy it with Rail, the Storm Conduit, which is the only real way to copy Chandra's Ignition in here.
Oh, and you do have him in there as well.
Yeah, Rail is going to be is an all-star in here. And this is another way that people can go infinite with the Fork ability. Because every time it's copied, Rail does 1 damage to
so you just
an opponent.
Wipe a person out with just those going off instead of having to worry about him attacking.
Yeah, and so that's another way to kill somebody with those infinite combos if you're playing them.
So another question and card I was wondering about was Seedborn Muse. Now, normally Seedborn Muse is an awesome card in any deck, but with this, you're wanting him to stay tapped, and it doesn't give you the option of you can choose what is untapped. So I understand you're wanting to untap your land so you're able to cast more instants and sorceries, but if he's tapped, you're not getting. Are you just kind of like, oh well, at that point, I'm still casting spells and gaining advantage that way, and not worried about his copy ability?
So here's the really cool thing. Like Seedborn Muse in your hand isn't as good, but it's still really, really good. It's my Court of Calling line, which is Court of Calling goes and searches for X target creature and put it into play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that has Convoke. So when you Convoke with Kalamax, it copies it, right? And so you got 2 Court of Calling, and then you go and get Dual Caster Mage, which creates a copy. Then you go and get Naru Miha, which copies. And then you go and get Seedborn Muse and Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness brings Court of Calling back to your hand. Seedborn Muse untaps all your stuff. You do it again the next turn. And then you copy, and then you end up going and getting Wart.
That was my next question. I was curious about Wart. That seems like a sweet card to use here too. So what does Wart do?
Wart creates 2 creatures, and then you can tap creatures that share instant or sorcery colors and copy them as well, which is putting 1/1 counters on them. And so the next one you go and get like Wart the Braid Mother and Mnemonic Wall, bring back Court of Calling, everything untaps, and then you do it one last time, and you go and get like a Spark Double, which can come in, copy Kalamax, which gives you 2 of those copy triggers, right? And then 2 1/1 counters on each of them. And then generally just like that last one, so like 3 is the ideal Court of Calling couple turns. So it's like Spark Double into a value engine like Rashmi, and then or Dockside Extortionist for a ton more mana, or whatever you really want to do. Jin Illuminatus. I'm thinking about cutting that card, which gives all of your instants and sorceries replicate, which are also replicate are copied spells, like spells copied.
Which one is that again? That was a Jin and okay, so it's the 5 and is it 5? Yeah, 5 red.
Red, 5 is it for 3/5 flyer.
Okay.
And then each instant or sorcery spell you cast has replicate. The replicate cost is equal to its mana cost. And then when you cast it, copy it for each time you paid its replicate cost. You may choose new targets for the copies. So it's creating a ton of copies if you have that mana open for it.
But you got to get Mr. Jin out.
But that's the part of that Court of Calling chain.
Mm-hmm.
If that's at the end, you can do it because you just put out a ton of creatures with Wart's 3 creatures. You did Dual Caster Mage, Naru Miha. And so you're able to just create a ton of copies with Wart and Jin Illuminatus in there.
Gotcha. What you were saying then with Seedborn is more of, it's part of the, what am I saying? Court of Calling kind of combo-ish a little bit. Not combo, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's why
there's
really,
a lot of synergy there, but it definitely, you could say it's not like, it's a combo.
What was that?
I'm not winning with it, but I'm getting ahead quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. I would say my only reason why I brought that one up is because I was like, it's untapping, which is against what Climax was. So that's why I wanted to kind of figure out what the thought was.
Totally makes sense too. Now, the one problem that I do have, like cards that I don't have, is there's 2 lands that you can tap a creature, tap that land, and gets you whatever color mana that you have or want. Those would be really good in this deck. I just don't remember the names. They're commons. I do not have them, and I'm not willing to buy them currently.
Have you bought anything since everything's been going? Oh, wait, you did buy the Commander decks, which we just got notified that.
I didn't get that.
Oh, you didn't get a notification?
Yeah.
I did. My eBay guy said that I will not be getting mine for a little bit. It's not canceled. I just am going to be a month out.
And so, like Cryptolith Right is really important.
That was pretty sweet. That was perfect for what I was, you're tapping Climax to tap it, and, he's tapped it, and it gives you mana at the same point.
And Earthcraft is really good in here. I don't have it on my list, just I don't have a proxy of it. So, and
hint,
it's like a
hint,
$60
wink,
card. What's that?
Hint, hint, wink, wink. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'll never get it out of you. You don't own it, do you?
Yeah, I bought Earthcraft when because it was reserve list stuff. It's not in the greatest condition. It's I think it's like played. It's not really bad, but it's not. I like having near mint to like where you don't have any white on the corners. This might have a little bit of cool story, Hansel.
So another little instant that has Convoke that's pretty sweet is Sprout Swarm, and we talked about that when you were building your
the fungus deck.
Yeah. Yep. And so that you're able to tap Kalamax for the Convoke. It has buyback, and then you're creating 2 of your 1/1 Saprolings. And then it just kind of is able to kind of keep on going on. So having those 2 Convoke spells are really nice in there too.
Well, that spell can just be abused so much, but it's such a good card, Sprout Swarm. One that I really liked is a card that you had brought up with Feather, and I see it in here as well, is Vilestone Amulet. And I really like that you have that in there.
Yeah.
So that's 3. It's an artifact for 3. Whenever you play a spell, creatures you control can't be the target of spells and abilities your opponents control. So with this deck, you have 29 instants. You're just protecting your stuff is what it does. It makes it so Climax doesn't get killed. It's a perfect card to have in a deck like this.
Yeah, I think if you're in an instant style deck, you're playing Vilestone Amulet. You should be.
Right.
Because it just protects your stuff from spot removal.
Was there any other things that popped out to you? Those are the main things. And, going through this, I like the idea with it. And it's, you explained a lot to me because like I said, I was looking at it without hearing you talk about the deck. I was like, how the fuck is Climax going to survive? Well, you copy a couple spells, you pump them a little bit, or you disrupt something with your instance and stuff. You have tricks. So people blocking, you may, I don't know. Some of it isn't damage. We have direct damage in here. You also have Chaos Warp, so you could bounce their stuff while they're blocking, and your Climax doesn't.
Yeah, that is another thing, is holding up removal just in case they're doing something tricky.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can be like, well, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z just because so Kalamax survives.
Yeah. I mean, you got Comet Storm in here.
Comet Storm is crazy. Absolutely nuts in this deck. In general, but in this deck.
Electrolyze would be really sweet because copying that and doing 4 damage and drawing 2 cards is pretty sweet off of that too. So yeah, there's a lot of cool tricks, and so it makes more sense now that you actually explained it a lot.
One other thing, like there's a couple of other things that I kind of want to bring up too. So there's Cackling Counterpart and the other Fated Infatuation that create tokens that are instants.
Yep.
Those are there generally for those utility creatures that help you along, like Mnemonic Wall, Eternal Witness, your Dockside Extortionist. Those get you ahead, but also like they're copied. But a cool little thing here is since I have Spark Double in here, which can copy Kalamax, and then those token creators are doubled or actually tripled, which can make more Kalamaxes, which can create a ton of
Climax is all over the place.
It's basically an orgy of Kalamax here. You got me. You got me on this train here. Isakron Scepter is really kind of cool.
That's a pretty sweet card in general.
This is probably the first time I've fit this into a commander deck and been happy. But what it can do is, it is casting an instant. So that can be considered your first instant whenever turn you're doing it, and then that can be copied.
Well,
so
if you
so it's weird wording. I asked a judge on this.
Okay, so here's my question with that though, is let's say you do your Climax is tapped and you tap something or cast something, you get the copy of that. Then you use this because it's saying you may copy the exiled card. If you do, you may cast the copy without paying. So it's not a copy, or it is a copy though.
Here's the weird thing about that wording. So you may copy an exiled card. If you do, you may cast the copy. So those
it's
are
not
the two
saying that
you're
not copying it. You're just casting the copy. Okay.
Whenever you cast your first instant,
they fucking need to take out the word copy in there, and then we'd be fine.
So it's copying whenever you copy a spell, an instant spell.
Yeah, then you get the one.
The initial copy that Isakron Scepter is not technically a spell. It's an exiled card that you're copying.
Gotcha.
And then when you cast it, it is then an instant that can be copied.
Makes sense.
I mean, me and the judge went back and forth. Landon, I was talking with Landon on that one.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's a little bit confusing, but the copy of the card can be copied by Kalamax, but that initial copy does not create a 1/1 counter.
I see you just have Shadow Spear in here. Is that just so you can get rid of Indestructible and Hexproof?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Shadow Spear is...
It's kind of taken the place of, you still have that Arcane Lighthouse, the lands that do that.
Yeah.
Now you just got to...
I have those in here too.
Yeah.
But I mean, getting rid of Indestructible is pretty huge. Shadow Spear might be my favorite card from this year so far. The card's freaking... And just, it gives it the trample and the lifelink, and getting Kalamax through is pretty important as well.
Yeah. No, that's huge. It's a huge card.
So, it's so good.
Yeah.
And then my last card I want to kind of highlight is Commence the Endgame.
That's funny. That was on my list to ask you about, and I was like, it doesn't fit in with what we were just talking about, so I didn't even ask it.
This card is bonkers.
Yeah, this one's pretty
bonkers.
Seems pretty cool.
So Commence the Endgame is 4 colorless, blue, instant. This spell can't be countered. Draw 2 cards, then amass X, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Copied.
Oh man. I mean? Yeah. So
you just, no matter what, you draw 2 and you have a 2/2. Then it's copied and you draw 2 and then it becomes a 6/6. So you drew 4 cards and it's 6/6. That's worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Most of the time when I'm playtesting this is a 10/10 to a 16/16.
That's crazy.
So like that's pretty sweet for 6 mana to draw 4 cards and create a 10/10.
Yeah. And it can't be countered.
And it can't. Yeah.
Fuck exactly. You, counterspell.
This card is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's funny. That was the only other card I wrote on my list that I wanted to talk to you about. Like
the 3 instants that I want to see that are like my big time, really cool cards is Commence the Endgame, Comet Storm, and Court of Calling.
Yeah.
Those ones are pretty sweet. Otherwise, there's like a couple token generators because you can be a little bit light on creatures and just get overran before you start going. But Arachnogenesis in this deck is sweet.
So I guess the final question is, what is your Day of Dragons with this? Is this a Voltron deck and you're killing somebody with your commander getting through with Mr. Climax?
I mean, you hope. You can do that, but again, like just having Commence the Endgame and Comet Storm can easily deal 15 to 20 damage per person. You know what I mean? Because if you're copying it and you're able to go like, I'm dealing 8 damage to each person copied.
Right.
You know, that's 16, 16, 16. That's at the end of a game, that's a lot of damage.
Not to mention if you multi-kicker that sucker too.
That's what I mean. Like you're going, if you're 8, 9, 10, 11 with Dockside Extortionist, that doesn't make it too hard. Because again, that's something that you can Court of Calling for at the end of at the end of a turn, potentially copy it with Cackling Counterpart style, and just have a ton of mana just to end the game.
So Comet Storm is kind of more of, you get that in your hand in the beginning, you're like, all right, saving this fucker for the end.
Absolutely, unless it's absolutely necessary. But also there is Expansion Explosion.
Yeah, that'll
Explosion
do the same.
just is huge, and also, if you want to do the expansion part and combo out, you can. But
Go
again,
be a douche.
But I did drop that part, the other 3 or 4 that could do that.
Right,
So it just wasn't helping, but it can do that. And I did double check with that because technically as a split card, its converted mana cost is 6.
Yeah.
And it can only copy converted mana cost 4 or less. But when you cast Explosion or Expansion, only its converted mana cost on the stack is 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it could copy itself.
Cheater.
But that's but I do think I think that's about everything.
So does it have a pretty similar feel to Feather in a way? Because you're saying it was similar to Feather, or?
So I mean that was a big thing. Like it's like a mesh of Vile Smash of the Fierce and like Rash Me. Those two are together, and then a Feather deck a little bit.
Yeah, I would say
you're drawing those cards.
You're kind of doing similar things when you're attacking to protect your Climax, but then it doesn't have, Feather has a lot more tricks. I would say that it's more on protection of Feather, where this is more. It doesn't seem like there's as much protection as there was as Feather, so I can totally see a difference with this one.
And a big thing with Feather is like it's like you're playing the same turn over and over and over again because you're getting those cards back.
Right.
This is not happening, and that's why drawing cards is so important in this deck, is making sure that you have those options.
I dig it. Seems like fun. This seems like a Lowery deck right here.
Yeah, no, it does seem pretty fun, and I am excited to try it someday in the next year.
I was gonna say, but we can all play it together when I see you sometime. Oh man. Okay. So that is Climax.
A spotlight deck.
Okay. So we want to do a little discussion on what do we want to do on online stuff, online play.
Yeah. So like either
arena
cockatrice which is what you're doing, or webcam magic, which is what I was doing prior to.
Yeah. Let's rephrase that. It was what I was doing also before I moved into the house. Because we're still not done with the house yet. So, but we got in here because kids aren't in daycare, and at this point, I'm doing the painting. So, but yes, I was doing cockatrice. I am going to get back to cockatrice because that was pretty sweet. I may do the webcam stuff because I wasn't doing that as well because I didn't have the setup where I was.
Space for it. Yeah.
So
one thing too is bringing this up. Like number 2 was super nice to go through and like make all the songs and make a list for us. I'm just wondering, number 2, if you want to go through and say how many times Adam says that he's still working on his house last year. I'm just wondering if you can get a tally together on that. You'll have to listen to whole episodes over again, but I think it's totally worth it.
Oh, dude, that tally's in the thousands, guarantee. I mean, even when my house is done, I think I'm going to say I'm still working on my house.
I think you should. I mean, you're forever. That's part of building your own house is you're always working on it forever.
So fucking ridiculous. It's just the problems we ran into with it is the big issue. But yes, we are continuously.
The dark walls that I see in the background look really good.
Dark walls. Yes, I told you last week I'd have light in here. They didn't put light in here yet because they're afraid because our boys are running around. They don't want them to put their finger in light sockets. And I was like, well, cover them all. Like, but I don't know. It's whatever. It's making a long story even longer. We have power, just not in every single room. Yes. So anyways, okay. So online is a good way, especially right now. I mean, I'm missing our play group. I miss you guys, man.
I miss you guys. No.
I was actually chatting with number 2 today.
Hey, number 2.
About playing and all that stuff. It is weird. Like I haven't seen you. Well, that's even weirder because I would see you every week. But we haven't gotten our big group together at Trombley's house or number 2's house. Or it used to be my house before I sold my house and I've been building. Have I told you guys about that? But it's just weird because we haven't gotten together with those. We play 12 hours or whatever. And so how do you get your fix out? I mean, I know number 2, he said he's actually not playing or messing with his decks right now because, well, he doesn't like the online stuff as much. So he doesn't like the webcam stuff. Doesn't like cockatrice as much, sure. Because you're not getting that.
Not as good.
No, it isn't because, well, and I guess it also depends on your group. I've played cockatrice with our Discord members. And I'm getting to know
with you guys.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm getting to know everybody, but it's different than like your people that you've been around for years and just shitting around with. So I'm not ripping on anybody. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if it was us, all of us playing, it'd just be like, God, you're so fucking slow. What the fuck are you doing? So there'd be a lot more talking. I think that's what number 2 is saying is like, when I played with number 2 once on cockatrice and, there just wasn't as much banter, and it's more of just waiting for the next person to go. But it's still, you get your fix in. Once people get the controls of it and everything like that, it works pretty well. It's a really good replacement. Like if in person is 100%, this is like a 60 to a 50%. You're still getting your play in, but you're only getting 50% of what you would get in person. I
think I saw somebody say it like this, but you're getting the magic, but not the gathering.
Yeah.
Like you're not getting that. And again, it's still fun.
Well, and it's cool that we're playing with people that we'll never play with in life, so that's cool.
I think I'll continue to do it.
Even when, I was thinking that too. Yeah. Because that is the easy part is like, you can jump on at night and play for, take up an hour or 2 and then that's your game, especially with cockatrice. It seems a lot easier for that. How is the webcam feel? I know we've talked about this a little bit, but
so webcam, like I don't think you can get past the part of if you're
okay, I got you.
Having you following me? Cool, if you're having a game and you want to move along, like you just can't have that banter.
Yeah.
Because most of the webcam, it's smaller screens, a bit grainy. Sometimes, some people are on further away. It just depends on whatever setup they have.
And is it a lot of times just going, what's that card again? What do you have over there?
Yeah. And especially if you're not paying attention, you have to do it. And that's why that banter, which is awesome, really can't be done there because you're just not going to be able to track a game.
Mm-hmm.
And really you have to be paying attention. And that person has to be going, okay, I'm doing this, casting this. This is what it does. And like you have to talk through the cards. And if people are talking, number 1, they're not paying attention. Number 2, they're not hearing it.
Yeah.
So you almost have to it has to be a little bit stone cold for the game to be cohesive.
Right.
But I've found it all.
I would say that's probably where cockatrice has an up hand in it, is that you see everybody's board. Mm-hmm. And if you have a question on a card, you can just put your mouse over it and it shows the card on the side. So I think that's kind of a little advantage with that. I feel, and tell me, I feel like the webcam feel can be more for your buddies more, because then but I don't know. Am I right with that? Like if it was me, we should try that.
I haven't been on cockatrice, so I don't.
No, I'm saying, but the webcam, you can just, it seems like you're just joking around more, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm just talking on my ass.
I think that's the feel. I think you can joke around more on cockatrice because if you miss something, you can go over and click on it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Hey, Adam, what'd you play 2 turns ago? I forgot.
That's,
you have to actually remember everybody's board state.
That I'll tell you, that's the other cool thing about cockatrice is, and you accidentally do this sometimes where it's all right click stuff. So you can see like, okay, you can put like, it has a lot of options, but sometimes I've done where I've accidentally revealed my hand to everybody, not meaning to, and it shows on the side. Anytime that anybody does anything, it lists it on the side, like where you message. So at any point, people can just be like, oh, what was in Adam's hand that he accidentally showed us? And you can actually go back and see it. But yeah, that's kind of the cool thing with that is like, if anybody's searching their library, it tells you how many cards they're looking at the top of their library, how many they put back on top, whatever, if they shuffled it. Like it's, once you get the controls.
I'm pretty sure MTGO does that as well, if you're on there, which neither of us are.
No, I have an account, but yeah, I haven't played there in a long time. But yeah, it probably does, shows everything. But yeah, so cockatrice it's a good free place to load your decks and play them. It's pretty easy to load your decks there too. So
is it just like a learning curve that kind of slows things down, and once you get it, then you got it?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. And I would say, but that's just our play group too. Tutors slow things down like crazy. Unless people know exactly what they're getting for. Yeah, because then you're scrolling through your deck. I mean, it's just like in any other case when somebody's tutoring, it takes a while for somebody to find their card. But if you play a lot of tutors, it can get really, really slow. So that's kind of the down. But this is it's a good replacement for not being able to play in person now.
Yeah, it scratches an itch.
Right.
The other thing that I was thinking about for like webcam magic is like it's really hard to track where a planeswalker is. So like people aren't like, you just don't see the dice whatsoever because
it's too far away.
Grainy, small. And so you either got to ask where it's at, what its ultimate needs to be. And so we had I played over on CMD Towers Discord, and a guy ultimated Liliana of the Dark Realms. We could have stopped that. We just didn't know it was coming, basically. Like, we just totally lost track of it.
And I'm going to ultimate. What?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I could have dealt with that. Like,
it's kind of funny.
We just didn't think about it. So,
do you think that would help with that? Is that like a bigger screen? Like if you got a bigger monitor or something to be able to see everybody's.
I think it's just, you have to, if people aren't announcing what's going on and what can happen, it's really hard to track where the game is at.
Yeah.
And so like that person goes, tick up 1 Liliana, and then really what I should, each person should be, what's her loyalty at? What does her ultimate do again? Where is that at?
Yeah.
Like it's silly to say it over and over again, but it's also, if you're saying, if you're the player going like, this is what's going to happen, you're telegraphing but like, it's very unintuitive to what you want to be doing anyway. You want to announce what you're doing, but you don't want to be like, and this is my end game.
Yeah.
Come and fucking stop me. And so, but if you don't do that, I think it creates some feel bad moments a little bit of just like, I could have stopped that. I don't want to fucking ask every question about everything. How many swamps do you have? How many cards in hand? How many cards in your graveyard? I guess I could fucking steal that. What's your life at again? Like there's a lot of communication that needs to happen. And again, that's why that banter is so hard to
do.
Have.
Okay. That makes more sense.
And being able to keep track of everybody. Life, generally, you can kind of put it down in the corner. Like you can see on my Zoom right there, it says Lowery Smith 40.
Yeah, I see that.
They can't say it, but that's there because I've played with Besh on Zoom, and that's your life total, and then you change it as you're going down. So that's a way, is putting the number near your name. So
you at least can see the life at all times.
Yeah, that's nice because the dice are too small. You can't really read the numbers. Voice just cracks.
Yeah, what the hell, puberty boy?
Yeah, cold.
Hey, guys.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
What would you, out of a 10 of playing in person, what would you put the webcam?
Ugh.
From the sounds of it, it makes it seem like a little lower than cockatrice a little bit, but you're
probably.
I would say
I'm like a 4.
That's where I was probably putting it at. But I would say the thing that is nice about it is you're playing with your own cards, like physical cards, which is kind of cool.
It's nice to shuffle.
Yeah,
nice to just kind of shuffle and feel like kind of get the.
Well,
dust
Lowery, what I do is when I play cockatrice, I just have a deck in my hand. You know, not cards. I'm talking about my penis.
Instead of, maybe that's what you could do with cockatrice is go through your normal deck and be like, and then type in what card you actually want.
This is the card I drew, quicker. Guys.
I want this one.
Yeah.
There's no video.
There's no video. But yeah, I mean, it's a good way to get your itch. So if you guys haven't, if you don't have the webcam set up, if you have webcam set up, try that out. But our Discord, like you said, Cockatrice, our Discord plays that a bit. I'll be getting on there more here shortly. But yeah, it's a good thing while we're all still in this quarantine, social distancing era right now. I'm hoping soon we can see each other and get back to our old smooching ways, Lowery.
I don't know. I found this to be very beneficial for me.
Stay away from me. You're such an ass.
Sexually harass me.
All right. Well, that should do it for this week. We actually pulled off a full hour episode, so that's good.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So that was a good add there to the end. But we will catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.